by the Trade Union Congress. We'll get you some reactions from the streets, and then also we'll get the perspective of a certain MP who is advocating something different, something quite new, and a former MP who also has some very strong views on this. And in fact, at one point in time or the other, many have suggested that his party even hounded him out of Parliament. We have details of these and a lot more once we kickstart the conversation, but that will be after these messages. Stay with us.
The game we love and cherish has seen players whose names first hit local headlines now become heroes idolized by fans. My name is Selwyn Saki, and I bring you fresher sports news,
Junior, who gets a run and scores.
Detailed analysis of the big names with your favorite pundits, both local and international, right on here on MX Break Sports. Highlights, interviews, features, and much more right here.
Striking and keeping clear of the other Red Bull.
Join me on MX Break Sports weekdays at 2 p.m.
What questions are on your mind? Does partisanship permeate every aspect of Ghanaian life? Can Africans truly run their own affairs without a need for foreign aid? Do you have absolute confidence in the ability of security agencies to come to your aid when you need it? Do the emergency lines in this country even work? For answers to these and more, join me, Noang Falong, on MX24.
What we do has consequences, intended and unintended. The decisions we make, the actions we bring, have weight.
When did it become a crime to succeed in this country?
We spotted a suspect trading pattern. All three firms have links to Bobby Axelrod.
Be careful out there.
It's 18:30 GMT live from Silicon Square.
This is MX24 News.
Let's head straight into our stories.
At least 2 people have lost their lives this morning.
There are snakes and alligators inside the gutter.
Connect with us online and on air.
Press the pawn, student to pay fees in full.
We bring you the news as it happens.
The company is on the verge of collapse.
Call any of our many news reporters across the country and share your community stories. Make a date with us as we tell the fun, fearless, and factual stories across the length and breadth of the country. This is MX24 News.
Right, many thanks for staying with us right here on MX24 television. It's time now for Opposing Views. My name is Kwabna Chenche, and I'm grateful that you've taken time off to join us today for yet another edition of this all-important show. So, we are talking about spousal allowance and all the commentary that has erupted following the announcement that, well, it was something which government had decided to formalize. Mind you, this, they say, is not a new thing. It's been in the system for quite some time. In fact, it goes back to the era of former President John Ejekum Kufuor. And so this is nothing new, as has been communicated to us. However, the only new thing now is that this particular government is seeking to formalize it so that we have everything documented and we know that, okay, this is the process, this is how much must go here and at what time and the like. Just so we are clear and up to speed on everything, I want to start with this very report, which captures the situation as it exists now. And so the report will highlight whatever has been said, whichever monies may be involved, and some commentary that may have come on the back of all of these things. So once that is done, we'll start taking some reactions, first from some members of parliament, and then subsequently to persons on the streets of Accra whom our reporters have been engaging, and then also we'll delve into the conversation with our two very, very key guests who today will share a lot of interesting perspectives on the issue. So let's start first with that very report.
Formalization of payment of salaries to First and Second Lady has gained massive attention across the country. Parliament in January 2021 approved Professor Bedu Ntiama Committee's report recommending emolument for the executive, judiciary, and the legislature, including spouses of the president and vice president. According to the report, the salary of the president's spouse should be equivalent to that of a cabinet minister. Information Minister Kojo Ponkruma explains that the payment of allowances to spouses of president is not a new phenomenon and is only being formalized by the current government. Lawyer and Member of Parliament Inusa Fuseni also believes being a spouse of a president is not a public office, which makes them not entitled to salaries.
Any first lady who is undertaking an assignment for and on behalf of the country is entitled to allowances, and she retires the allowance and not salary. It's a huge problem because the president says he's limiting the number of cabinet ministers. The president's wives are not appointed to an office, and you equate the salary, you determine a salary for first and second lady, and even that nomenclature is not known in the Constitution. There is no first lady in the Constitution. There is no second lady in the Constitution. You elevate the nomenclature of first lady and second lady to cabinet status. We know that cabinet is to advise the president. So the first lady and the first lady and second lady are now to advise the president. Now, traditionally, it makes it's more difficult. Traditionally, the man as head of family provides for the wife from resources of the man. I do not understand why Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo wants to transfer to the people of this country the responsibility of providing for his wife.
Two sitting MPs of the minority, South Dai MP Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo and Dr. Clement Park of Bulsa North, and one other person, Frederick Nikome, filed a writ to the Supreme Court seeking for a declaration that the Professor Ntiama Bedu Committee exceeded its jurisdiction in making such recommendation. They are also requesting for an order restraining the President or any other arm of government from implementing any recommendations of the committee. The latest group to react is the Trades Union Congress. In a press statement signed by the Secretary General of TUC, Dr. Yauba, spouses of presidents have not been assigned any specific role in the Constitution and are therefore not qualified to receive salaries from the public purse.
Okay, so that was a report highlighting the major things that have happened on the back of that very announcement by government. What, again, we've been told is that this whole process had gone to Parliament and had actually been approved by Parliament. Well, we'll bring back a certain SOT of Inusa Fuseni, the gentleman we heard speak a short while ago, because he was part of that Parliament which supposedly passed that bill or that approved that very recommendation. he seems to have a different view as to what really happened in Parliament. Perhaps let's hear him share it with all of us.
I do not understand why Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo wants to transfer to the people of this country the responsibility of providing for his wife. I don't understand it.
Right.
That we the people of Ghana should not take the responsibility of providing for his wife. So he's feeding that responsibility to the people of Ghana. No. There are many problems. And lastly, I hear people saying that this matter was approved by Parliament. I was a member of the 7th Parliament.
Right.
Not just an ordinary member. I was the ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament.
Right.
And I do not recall this matter ever coming before my committee or Parliament as part of the determination of the committee's report for the approval of the emoluments of the executive. Because they could not be part of it because they were not part of the executive.
Right.
They could not be part of it.
Right.
The first lady and second lady are not part of the executive, which require approval by Parliament. They are not.
Right.
So for people to say that this matter came before Parliament, I ask them again, in what report? In what capacity?
Right.
Because the first lady and second lady are not part of the executive.
Okay, so that was former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Alhaji Yunusa Hussaini, in an interaction there with Marie-France Fojo, and you heard him say loud and clear that, well, he was a ranking member on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, the 7th Parliament, by the way, and he does not recall any such thing coming in there. Because again, they do not fall under Article 71. I mean, the two persons here who happen to be the first and second ladies do not fall under the Article 71 office holders. And so there's absolutely no way they could have been added to that very list for such a thing to even be proposed and subsequently approved. And so all such commentary, according to Alhaji Yunusa Hussaini, perhaps maybe a bit inaccurate. Okay, I know this has generated a lot of should I say, comments. Many people have expressed all kinds of emotions. Some have suggested a lot of things. It's been back and forth, both some positive, others negative and the like. And so our team members decided to hit the streets and sample the views of a number of Ghanaians right here on the streets of Accra. And some of the views are quite interesting. Let's hear some of them.
When we went into the polls to vote, we didn't vote the president and his family. We voted a political party led by one person. So I don't see the reason why they should bring in their wives for them to get paid and all that.
Right now, Ghana is very hard, and then they have to fix the country before doing anything else. Most people are on the streets, they are not working. Most people sleep in front of people's shops and stuff. So if they want to use that money to pay president and the president's wife, they should rather use that money to fix the country and then help the needy.
That's really necessary. But their V8 they were using, what has happened to it? Is this fault? Or is their V8 fault? Or I don't get it too. Approving for V8, I knew they were taking allowance, or the allowance is it too small? So now they need full salary.
Owe ni mami toya me waire e wo ma nkra miensa e wo fi me chinde wo de obi ama me hwe ampi president na ye de sike twa ne ka no ono san pay ama ne re ensa to brand ka enfomo mo na o mo ba se o mbo som ye ana se ye mo na ye som mo ani o ma no me to be there me hu say like o mo ton o ma no kra na o mo de obi asika mana eye because na also what you mean until the whole year? Oh, I'm a crop for say for just 1 million crab lana. What you mean?
Okay, so those are some views from a number of Ghanaians whom we engaged with on the streets of Accra, and they seem to have some rather interesting views there. Time now for us to delve into our conversation. I mentioned to you that today we are privileged. We have two very important people joining us for our conversation. One sitting MP and one former MP. And they will help us appreciate a lot more of this and perhaps give us some views on this as well, and tell us maybe what the processes must be going forward, and maybe what the ideal situation is. So let me now introduce our guest for today's show. Paul Collins Apiofori, popularly known as PC Apiofori, is a former member of parliament for Esikuma Odobem Brakwa, member of the NPP. He is one of our guests joining the conversation right now, and soon enough we'll have Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, member of parliament for North Tongue, also join in the conversation. But as of now, I'll start with PC Apiofori. Honorable, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us on Opposing Views today, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
It's been a while we heard from you or saw you in public space. I would like to ask first how you're doing and what you've been up to in the last few months or so since you decided to go on the quiet.
By the grace of God, I'm doing very well.
Right. Okay. Let's start by taking your views on this issue, which has gotten a lot of Ghanaians talking, a decision to formalize a process which we are told used to exist. Really, let me find out. I think you were a member of parliament at the time when Kufuor was president. Was that really the case, that some sort of allowance was given to first ladies and second ladies, and that has gone through the process up until now, for which reason it may not be such a big issue if we decide to formalize it?
I don't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Ask the question again.
Okay, so I'm asking, you were a member of parliament at the time when former President John Agyekum Kufuor was in office. We are told that at the time this arrangement was done so that first and second ladies will get some sort of allowance or emoluments to do one or two things. Is that really the case? Were you privy to any such arrangement?
During President Kufuor's administration, first ladies were not paid salaries. I don't remember they were paid any salaries.
Mm. Were they given any allowance of sort, anything of the like?
Yes, only some minor inconvenience allowances, but they were not paid any salaries from the consolidated fund.
Okay.
Because they were not employees of the state, so they were not paid any allowance. This is what I remember. If they were paid, I don't remember, but what I know as a fact was that they were not paid any salaries.
Okay, we are told it was on humanitarian grounds. Now, we are told that as of now, we want to formalize it. PC, is there anything really wrong with the government's decision to formalize such a process? If already we are giving them some allowances, what's wrong with making it legal and formal?
Yes, if some people are going to take salaries from the consolidated fund, then such people must be known as workers. But if they are not workers, then they cannot be paid salaries. They will be paid some allowances, inconvenience allowances and so on. But paying somebody from the consolidated fund as salaries, and then when they are paid salaries, you also deduct taxes from it and pay it into the consolidated fund and so on. It's going to affect the national, it's going to increase national expenditure. And instead of the state using the money to develop the country, road construction, building schools, and all of the things, if they are going to use to pay salaries to the charity, then people should think of it again. That if you pay only the president, then what about the MPs? MPs' wives? Then they too should be paid. If they are going to pay the president's wife salary, then the sitting MPs and then even the retired MPs, including myself, should also be paid salary. And if you look at the cost involved to the state, You see, the money that is used for development is used to do all these things. Then they are creating problems for the country, as I say, the younger ones and those yet unborn. So I don't support it. I will be honest with you.
So you would say this is a wrong move by the sitting government to try and perhaps right a wrong?
Yes, as I'm saying, you must look at the cost involved, the effect of it on the national economy. You see, if you are a minister, you are paying salaries. If you are president, you are paying salaries, huge salaries. You can use it to take care of your wife and children. But the wives too should not be paid salaries. Salaries. Salaries are paid to workers.
Right, right.
Salaries are payable to workers and not the wives of presidents. You see, if you are paying some people some allowances, that is different thing. But paying salaries, when they are paying salaries, the payee also pays taxes on the salary. So look at the cost involved. So the amount that can use to develop the country, you use it to study it this way. Then I will lay the foundation for the future for the younger ones.
Okay.
No, I don't support it.
PC, let me ask this though. Based on your knowledge of what used to be the case when we were giving some allowances to the first and second ladies at the time when you were a member of parliament and the like, were you privy to the source of this funding? Where was this money coming from?
It was coming from the Consolidated Fund.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Because that's where the state has its source of revenue.
Out of the budget to the Jubilee House or Flagstaff House or operations at the presidency, maybe a portion of that will be hived off and given to these people as allowances. Is that the case?
Everything payable by the state comes from the Consolidated Fund. And as you are saying, it may be embodied in the national budget. And once Parliament approves it, then the state can pay it.
Right.
So this is how you can't put your hand into the state fund to pay anything unless Parliament has given approval.
Okay. Okay.
And when the Parliament gives approval, then a payment can be paid out of the Consolidated Fund.
All right.
Sure.
PC, kindly hold on for me briefly. Let me introduce Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. He's Member of Parliament for North Tongue. He's joining our conversation right now. Honorable, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon.
Great. So, Sam, we've been speaking to PC Apiofori, and he is suggesting that he sees it as a wrong that we are seeking to formalize such a system. Yes, it could be the case that some allowances used to be given out to these persons, that's the first and second ladies, but to formalize it in such a way, it's wrong, because then again, such monies will then have to be drawn from the consolidated funds, which is against the constitution or the law. He goes on to even suggest that if that is really the case, then perhaps wives of MPs should also be paid. They should be given something. Do you hold a similar view?
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to the veteran PC Abiafori, a statesman in whom I have a lot of respect for, and it's an honor to be on the same platform with him. Let me, first of all, state that I have come to a firm conclusion that the entire Article 71 architecture must be demolished. It is time to carry out an urgent overhaul of this whole Article 71 arrangement. If you read the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission report, when they went around the country, it was clear that most Ghanaians held the view that the whole Article 71 arrangement smacks of I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Indeed, in the Commission's own words, they described the arrangement as incestuous, that it was too incestuous. I am on all fours with the observations that were made in the Constitutional Review Commission report. And I argue further that let us learn from what the United Kingdom has done. The United Kingdom, after the 2009 MP's expenses scandal, decided to set up an independent body. They used to have quite a similar arrangement where the politicians had a hand in their conditions of service. Now they have set up an independent body known as the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, the IPSA. And the IPSA determines the conditions of service for members of parliament of the House of Commons. They have removed the politicians from the process. I think that where we are now, if you look at the public, anger, the animosity, and legitimately so, you see, as leaders, we must operate a governance system that is responsive to the sentiments of the people. If not, people lose confidence in the governance architecture, in the democratic experiment. And wonder, because when people lose confidence and it gets to a certain level, people will then decide.
I see. Interesting. So, to an extent, if I hear you correctly and I understand everything you're saying, okay, I think we've lost Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. We are going to re-establish connection with him in a short while because he takes us on a very good tangent, which I would like to pursue some more. But back to PC Apiofori, who is still with us. Mind you, he's the former member of parliament for Esikuma Odobem Brakwa. PC, let me ask this. Okudzeto Ablakwa is now recommending that we look at or perhaps have a total overhaul of that Article 71 architecture and how it has become a bit of a monster or albatross around the necks of Ghanaians when it comes to some of these things, as in doling out some of these monies. Would you go as far as recommending also an overhaul of the entire architecture, or perhaps you'd say let's fine-tune it and just take some people off, or perhaps we should even scrap that whole thing? PC, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not sure PC Apiofori can hear me now, but we'll come back to him in a short while. Okudzeto Ablakwa has rejoined our conversation. Mind you, he had articulated this point rather strongly, and so perhaps he will help us appreciate it some more. Ablakwa, thank you for rejoining the conversation. So you were making a point that indeed you feel that it's time for us to have an overhaul of this particular architecture of our Article 71 office holders. Is that to an extent to suggest that perhaps this whole issue of ex gratia needs to be taken another look at, or perhaps maybe we should even scrap it totally?
Everything within this whole Article 71 arrangement, whether it's ex gratia, whether it's gratuities, whether it's loans for cars for members of parliament, you see, once the arrangement is as it is now, where the president sets up a committee and then the committee's recommendation are brought to parliament. So the executive approves that of the legislature and the legislature then approves that of the executive. Then the judiciary is also somewhere in there in the mix where they also look at it and the chief justice will approve what is for the judiciary. You see, it's too incestuous. It is too inward-looking, and it lends itself for compromises and criticism, where when you are out there, all you see is that, okay, these people, this special category of public servants, calling themselves Article 71, are just, sorting themselves out. That's how it looks. So I want this system demolished. Let us have an independent entity. Let's create an independent body that will assess what we need. And it's a fun analysis. It even helps we politicians and all of us in that category as Article 71 officers, because you see, people even forget that you have constitutional bodies like SHRAJ, NCC, Controller Accountant General, the Auditor General, the judges. all those who are in there as Article 71 office holders, this Assembly Common Fund Administrator, all those people. But the heat is always on the political class, and rightly so, because the executive authority is really with the political class. We must activate processes towards reforms, and I hold the view that we should adapt what the United Kingdom has done, where they have removed the officers who will benefit, the politicians who will benefit. They have removed them from the process, where an independent body has been established, and that independent body is the one that determines your emolument, your conditions of service, what should come to you as salaries, wages, and all of that. It helps everybody. So it's not seen as a self-serving endeavor, where Article 71 office holders are only meeting to sort themselves out. I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and then because I know you also have a say in what will be approved for me, I also want to make sure yours is okay for you, so you look at me favorably and be kinder to me. We don't need that. We don't need all of that. I can understand that in the beginning of our fourth Republican experiment, those who came up with these provisions didn't want presidents and probably high-ranking central officials to want to stay on in power and will not want to hand over, as we have seen in other African countries. But look, now we have stabilized. We've consolidated our democracy. You have no business coming into politics if you don't have another life beyond politics or outside of politics. And we have matured enough that we will not allow anybody to refuse to hand over when you lose an election. So we shouldn't make any excuses any longer. Let us see urgent reforms in this whole Article 71 architecture. That is what must be done. Okay. When we do that, this all the smuggling that we are seeing, first lady, second lady, which is so ridiculous. They are not Article 71 office holders, and yet some way, somehow, they have been smuggled in. And you wonder why the wife of the Speaker is left out, why the wife of the Chief Justice, who is number 4, is left out. And is it a matter of time for them also to be included? And as the Venerable PC Appeal for is also suggesting, will it be a matter of time for MPs' wives to be added? Though I'm very certain that my wife would not want to be part of any such thing. So you see, we need to understand that the current architecture that we have, it is too self-serving, it is too incestuous, and it does not, in the final analysis, even adhere to the benefit of those who are serving. I mean, are we happy with all the opprobrium, all the incessant attacks? I don't think we should be. And they are legitimate responses to what has been going on every 4 years. So let us just carry out a major overhaul of this whole thing and create a different system. I would go for an independent body determining the remunerations, the working conditions of all those people listed under Article 71. Right. And wives and spouses nobody has given them any job. They shouldn't be part of it. I mean, if you want to earn salaries, then you contest yourself. Let your spouse wait. Or as we saw the Clintons do, one should take the lead. And then after, the Hillarys can also contest. Okay. But let's not have a situation where, I mean, we needlessly violate the provisions of Article 71 and then rate the public purse the way we are doing. Okay. But I would always insist that it comes back to the fundamental issue of that whole Article 71 arrangement. Right. I think that it's time for an urgent and massive overhaul, a total overhaul. All right, Sammy, thank you. Kindly hold on briefly. Let me take the views of PC Appeal for you on this also. PC, okay, let me be sure he's on now. PC, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. It's good. It's good you can hear me now. So, your colleague, your younger colleague, has given us a very fantastic idea, and he is suggesting that with all the hue and cry about the seeming perception that between the legislature and executive, it's more like a scratch my back, I scratch your back. So the legislature will have to approve what goes to the executive approves what comes here. And so because of that, people are so agitated and begin to say all kinds of things about people in the political class who are doing these things. He is suggesting that we have a state entity which is taxed with the responsibility and clothed with the necessary powers to do all of these recommendations, and they go ahead to even give the final approval. It does not come to either the legislature or the executive or perhaps even the judiciary. No such thing comes in there. One body mandated by law to decide the emolument of all Article 71 office holders. That's that. And then that's it. It's not an issue of a committee sitting and coming up with all of these recommendations. PC, how does this sound to you? Is this a doable thing, and perhaps should we begin to consider such a move?
He has stated his position, but all that I'm saying here is that we have three arms of government. The executive, headed by the president, the judiciary, so legislature, headed by the Speaker of Parliament, and judiciary, headed by the Chief Justice.
Right.
So the benefit that accrues to the head of the state must accrue to the head of the legislature, and then the head of the judiciary. So if the president's wife must be paid, then the wife of the speaker must also be paid, and then the wife of the chief justice must be paid. If the chief justice is a woman, then the husband must be paid. If it's a man, the wife must be paid. You see? So all that I'm saying is that going to cost benefit.
Right.
If the cost outweighs the benefit, we don't have to embark upon it.
So it's really not even an issue about who sits to decide on what. Would you go as far as saying that we perhaps need to scrap this entire thing of Article 71 office holders and some benefits which accrue to them? Of course, they're already on the social security setup like everybody else. They contribute their quotas, and so their pension from there should be enough to take care of them subsequently. And this whole issue of ex gratia and emoluments here and there, all of such things can be scrapped. Would you go as far as recommending that?
Well, you see, all that I'm saying is we will do what is known as cost-benefit analysis. If the cost outweighs the benefit, we do have to embark upon it. It's only when the benefit outweighs the cost that we embark on it. So all that we are saying, all that people are saying, these are the two things they should call that cost-benefit. If the cost outweighs the benefit, they don't have to do it. If they are doing all these things, those of us who have also retired as MPs must be paid.
True.
Must be paid.
True.
You don't have to limit it to only the head of state. So personally, I don't subscribe to it. The money must be used to develop the country instead of left and right. That's my position.
All right. PC, many thanks for your time on Opposing Views today. Paul Collins appear for is a former member of parliament for Isikuma Odobin Brakwa. You heard him with those views there on that very issue of spousal allowances. We still have Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, member of parliament for North Tong, with us on phone. Samuel, let me ask this though. We heard from a colleague of yours, Alhaji Yunusa Hussaini, who had suggested that he is not privy to any such situation where Parliament, the 7th Parliament, which you were part of, he is not privy to, or he doesn't recall any situation where they or yourselves had to approve this recommendation. Do you have any recollection of this? Did you approve any such thing?
No, I will contest any day that Parliament approved his spousal salaries that it's a clear violation of Article 71 of our Constitution. Article 71 is a very exhaustive provision. All the officers who have any entitlement have been listed. So you cannot be smuggling in people who have not been listed under Article 71. Now, it is important to emphasize that the whole emoluments report, members of parliament were not given copies. Because as I speak to you, I don't have my copy given to me from parliament. It is what finally made its way on social media that I saw.
Oh, really?
Which is wrong. Our standing orders is very clear.
Right.
That these reports must be given to members of parliament. We peruse it, we scrutinize it before a decision is taken to inform how we vote on these matters. Nothing of the sort happened. We were not given copies. What my checks have revealed is that a few people in leadership on both sides, and the Honorable Muntaka apparently even drew attention to the leadership on the other side that, look, this smuggling in of the first lady and second lady is unconstitutional and it is going to create problems. But remember that several parliaments, it was just 106 members of parliament we had. The other side had 169, and I'm told that they used their numbers. But yes, that is what happened. And you see, we need to even go back to these parliamentary practices. It is how come parliament has become like a rubber stamp. It's become so weak. Look, our standing orders are very clear. Give members of parliament copies of these reports. They need at least 48 hours to study the documents before you put the vote. Governments will wait last hour, then they just railroad, do something which is called kangaroo laying. Kangaroo laying means that the reports are not ready, you won't get your copies, yet we are going on with the process to railroad an approval. All these things must change. It makes mockery of parliamentary democracy, the parliamentary constitutional mandate of oversight, of scrutiny. It just makes a mockery of all of that. So I am hoping that this scandal will let Parliament itself as an institution reconsider its ways and take a second look at all of these, practices that undermine our own credibility and our own ability to work in the interest of the masses, in the national interest, which is why we are paid to do our work. But it is really a shame. Yes, I agree with the Honorable Nusa Husseini that we're not given copies. Nobody can really say in the strict sense of the word that there was an approval by the House so far as the seventh Parliament is concerned.
Okay. Interesting revelations there, and you seem to corroborate rather strongly what it is that the Alhaji Yunusa Husseini mentioned. But back to your proposal about the issue of Article 71 architecture and your proposals that have come on the back of that, would you perhaps consider moving, should I say, a private member's bill? I don't know if it falls within that category, though. Maybe you could move a private member's bill or of sort to begin to maybe raise some of these issues and get a lot more consultation in that regard, so that a particular state agency will then be responsible for paying attention to issues relating to emoluments for Article 71 office holders. Is that something you would perhaps consider?
That route has some inherent challenges.
Okay.
As we all know, constitutional provisions in terms of the hierarchy of laws are superior to any other piece of legislation. So if I start a private member's motion seeking to bring a bill, the Constitution will still be superior. So the constitutional provision will override that.
Okay.
And remember that Article 71 is also an entrenched clause.
Yes.
And to amend an entrenched clause, you need a referendum, before you can carry out it. So this is a matter which which requires a bolder effort at going after the Constitution itself. No other means through the back door, through the window will suffice. You need to attack the Constitution head on. It is an entrenched provision. So you have to pursue an overhaul in terms of constitutional amendment. So it's either we go for a referendum and amend that constitutional provision, or we take advantage of the constitution review process, remember, which is hanging. We spend so much money on that and carry out, because there are other provisions that are in urgent need of amendment. So let's take advantage of this and carry out the general, constitutional review that was proposed since the Professor Mills era, which has been left hanging. Let us do that so that this provision and other provisions I feel strongly about electing MMDCs. The constitutional review came up with very brilliant suggestions on the way forward on that. I feel strongly also about this hybrid system. I do not think that it's really helpful. It has weakened Parliament and made Parliament a rubber stamp. Let us have strict separation of powers, as Baron de Montesquieu envisioned when he mooted the idea of the three arms of government. So let's take advantage and carry out all of these reforms that we need, because what we have before us is an ailing democracy. It's a democracy which is sick. It's not broken. It is bended. It is quite twisted. We need to offer healing, and we should be bold to accept that and confront the malice before us and carry out that surgical operation which we must carry out.
Many thanks for your time on Opposing Views on MX24 today. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongue. You heard him there with those views. Brilliant suggestion, I must say. A brilliant suggestion. But he's saying, well, we can't use the Constitution to fix the Constitution. Let's go after the Constitution. So it would require a referendum, and that may perhaps require a bit more interest from people up there, most likely the presidency. Okay. It's time now for us to give you the platform, the podium, so that we hear you when you also give your views on this. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511, or 020-473-8481, 020-473-8481. Should presidential spouses be paid allowances or even salaries? Well, the floor is open. Meanwhile, though, the Trades Union Congress has also been issuing a statement on this very issue. This is what they are saying. I'm going to read it verbatim at some points for you. Press statement on the salaries of spouses of president and vice president. Now, this is the release. It says, we have followed the ongoing spirited public debate on the payment of salaries to spouses of presidents and vice presidents. These are the facts we have gathered so far. 1. The payment of allowances to spouses of presidents and vice presidents was introduced by the first government of the Fourth Republic under the late former President Rawlings. 2. These allowances have been handled administratively by the Office of the President. 3. The Presidential Emoluments Committee chaired by Professor Ntiamoa Bedu recommended that henceforth the wives of presidents and vice presidents should be paid monthly salaries at the level paid to cabinet ministers as part of the privileges recommended for presidents and vice presidents. 4. The 7th Parliament, which was dissolved on 6 January 2021, approved a recommendation by Ntiamoa Bedu's committee to convert these allowances to monthly salaries. 5. Salary arrears dated back to January 2017 have since been paid to the wives of President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia in accordance with the committee's recommendation, which was approved by NDC and NPP members of Parliament. Okay. Let's go to Takwa now. I didn't quite catch the name. Ahmed from Takwa is joining us. He's our first caller. Ahmed, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, boss.
Ahmed, let's hear your views, please.
Yeah, seriously. Thinking of the discussion putting on the screen,
right? Should
presidential spouses to be paid allowances? Nah, I don't really think so at all, because I saw this video this morning on Instagram, on IG.
Right.
Which the president is saying, talking about the teachers. He was saying the teachers shouldn't be paid to be. You shouldn't work as a teacher to be a millionaire. Why? Why that? I don't really. It baffles me why the president should say that.
Okay.
Our teachers who are teaching our children shouldn't be paid.
Ahmed,
to
because I've personally not seen that footage. We've not seen that also, and we've not used that on the show. So I would kindly recommend that we set that aside and focus on the main issue. Okay. So
all right. Thank you very much for that.
Right.
And I'm wholeheartedly. It doesn't step in the right direction.
Okay.
At all, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ahmed. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511, and 020-473-8481. Should presidential spouses be given allowances and or salaries? Okay. I will go on with the statement from the Trade Union Congress, because now, after it's established all of these points, this is what it goes on to say. That the spouses of presidents and vice presidents are not specified under Article 71 of the Constitution of Ghana. Now, the question is, why should they receive salaries at the level of emolument and privileges for some office holders specified under Article 71? That's a very instructive question they asked there. But let's go to Techiman now. John is on standby. John, good afternoon.
I think that there is no need for us to pay the president's wife.
Okay.
Let's assume the president becomes a Muslim and they marry about 4. Are we going to pay all the 4 wives? So I think if we can give an allowance, president's wife allowance to the president at the percentage of his salary, like 10%, 15% on the president's salary to the wife.
Okay.
So that in case he marries 1,050, and then he can give that 10% of his salary to those ladies.
Okay.
But if you give them salary, what specific work are they doing, the wives, to the nation? Already they are already running NGOs. And the state sponsors them for these NGOs. And they don't even pay tax. You and I know NGOs don't pay tax. And they are getting a lot of things from there. They are using offices which they don't pay for the rent of those offices. And then their staff at their offices are under the presidential staffers. It's presidential state that is paying their staff. If you get to the president's wife's office today, he has secretary. He has people who pays them. It's the state.
Okay.
So I think that their wives shouldn't be given any salary. The allowances should be added. If they shouldn't give them allowances in secret, it should be added to the president's salary, so that we know the presidential salary has an allowance of 10, 15, 20%. Okay. That goes to the wife.
All right.
So if he chose, maybe one day a Muslim becomes the president, he can, with 20 wives, we can use it for them.
Okay, John, thank you for your views. John joined us from Techiman. Let's head to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, from where Solomon is on the phone. Solomon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, boss. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hope you are too. Let's hear your views, please.
Okay, I don't share the same thinking of the committee's recommendation, which the parliament later on approved. You know, I think the committee was set up based on the requirements of the constitution, right? Okay, did you hear my question?
Yes, you asked a question. You said the committee was set up where?
Based on the requirements of the constitution.
Yes,
the constitution
yes,
provided that requirement.
Yes, that's the case. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my problem is, if this, because this whole paying the president's wife and the vice president's powers is not in the constitution. So if it is not in the constitution, then why did the committee come up with such requirements? Because it's illegal. Anything that is not in the constitution is illegal. So why do you bring up such things? Because if you can bring it up, then it means that we would have to amend the constitution.
Right.
Because Article 71 do not define the part of the president, the vice president, you know, any job. They are not specifically defined to assign to any particular job. You understand? So my candid opinion, I believe that if we need to pay them, we need to do it legally. We need to go back to the constitution, amend it, and then we can know that, okay, so this is their work. This is what they are doing. Then we can pay them.
All right, Solomon, thank you. Thank you. Just a quick clarification there, though. Countries are not only always governed by constitutions. There are instances where statutes and conventions also add up to whatever it is that already exists in the constitution. If you go to the UK, for instance, majority of their law is convention based. So it's conventions, and conventions are, well, they come about because things have been the way they are over a period. So if for a particular length of time we continuously pay allowances or stipends and the like, it becomes a convention, and so by extension that can be roped in there. But of course, that was just a quick clarification I wanted to bring in. Thank you, Solomon, for your call. Eben is joining us now from Tema. Eben, good afternoon.
So first of all,
right,
is it a favor we are doing the spouses of the president and vice president, or there is a specific assignment they are supposed to perform when they take office with their husbands that require us to pay them in the first place as salaries, or if allowances, then maybe the favor. Then I also I think that the reason why we are also finding a lot of problem with this issue is that the presidents do not allow their wives to perform certain duties that we require from them, like the ceremonial duties. Presidents and the vice presidents should not always be going to castles for the things that they've done. Sometimes they should allow their wives to go and do these things. Let us see them in the media doing things, so that when these things come up, we can have sympathy with them. If it's favor they want to do, then we can all sympathize with them that they need to be given this.
Okay.
But when you are not seeing them in the forefront doing things for the country, then we would have questions about these things.
All right. I hear your points loud and clear. Thank you so much. James is joining us now from Tamale. James, good afternoon. James, good afternoon. Okay, I don't think James can hear me. James, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Good afternoon. Let's hear your view, sir.
Yeah, I think I can hear you. Yeah, I've been asking myself, why should they be paid, or why should they be an allowance? What work are they doing?
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Takwa now. Johnson is on standby. Johnson, hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Johnson, let's hear you.
I just want to find out, as I said, the earlier caller asked, what work actually are they actually doing for the nation? They only travel money from the nation. The other day, some of them went for money from GMPC. What have they done with it? What actually have they done with that money? And we are supposed to be paying them. For what?
Is it just some first ladies we've had have run a number of NGOs which have
the NGOs that benefit anybody, just benefit themselves.
Yes, that's the point I'm getting to. And a number of them have empowered women. If you take a look at,
we are not talking of we are talking of the present.
Sorry, Johnson.
The NGOs.
Hold on.
It benefit somebody?
Okay. I was making reference to the 31st December Women's Movement, for instance, and all the things
we are not
did
talking
to
of
empower certain women. We are speaking of the Rebecca Foundation and how it has, for instance, set up a fund to help build a maternity ward in the Kwame Konfanoshi Teaching Hospital and a few other places. So these are some of the things that come to the fore when such issues are raised. But I hear you loud and clear.
Excuse me, that money that they use in doing that, is it their pocket money, or they took it from the country's coffers? Is it not from the banks or the institutions of the nation? It is not their money.
Okay. Johnson, thank you. Johnson joined us from Takwa. We'll pick our last caller from Konongo. Joseph.
Okay.
Joseph, good afternoon. Right, let's hear you.
Okay. In the first place, what is the job of the first lady and then the second lady? Do they have a specific job? And then if it's so, what is their job description?
I haven't seen that in the Constitution. No, I have not.
Good.
But I'm
So
sure
that
maybe
is
the
what
lawyers
we are all
will be in a
talking
better
about.
position to help us with. Yeah.
If they don't have any specific job description, why the salary and then the what do you call it? The allowances we are all talking about.
So salaries must be tied to jobs. So once you do not necessarily have a job in there, why should you be paid?
And
It's
the job
like you being
description,
paid
why
for no
should you
work
be
done.
paid? If they are entitled to any kind of benefit,
right,
which are normally directly related to the president, we are all going to support that. But in the case where we don't have a specific job, a specific whatever they are supposed to do. Why do we have to offer them money? We are all, the country is suffering to even gain.
All right, Joseph.
You understand?
Thank you, Joseph.
That's my.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for
opinion.
your views. And thank you to each and every one of you who called into the program. Like I said, we are going to make this a regular feature. We hear your concerns every now and then when you keep saying you want to be given the platform to be able to share your views as well. Just as the name suggests, opposing views. We are not here to fight or quarrel or do anything. You share your view, another shares his, and then we move on. And so your views are clearly articulated. I'm sure the powers that be are listening and watching and taking a cue from the views a number of Ghanaians are sharing on this platform and several other platforms as far as issues such as this are concerned. The Trade Union Congress release is not yet done though, so maybe I'll just take two more points in there and then we can call it a day. It says the spouse of presidents and vice presidents are not specified under Article 71 of the Constitution of Ghana. The question, however, is why should they receive salaries at the level of emoluments and privileges for some office holders specified under Article 71? It is true the salaries of some presidential staffers that are not specified under Article 71 receive emoluments that are at the level of ministers or even higher. But that is backed by the Presidential Office Act 1993, Act 463, Legal Service Act, and other acts. It should be noted that Article 71 office holders and all job holders in the public service, including presidential staffers, have been assigned official duties and responsibilities. The spouses of presidents and vice presidents have not been officially assigned any such duties and responsibilities. Therefore, they are not qualified to receive salaries from the public purse. It goes on, but stay tuned to MX24 because later in the evening, this evening, at 6:30 p.m. on the news, we'll have a lot more for you on this and several others. My name is Kwabena Chencheni Boateng. Many thanks for watching today's edition of Opposing Views. I'll see you on Wednesday.